right straight in front of me now, and the entire area across Constitution Avenue up to the Washington Monument is packed with people, and I can't see the end of it on the left or the right. I don't know the numbers right now. When we get some aerial shots from later today, we'll get a better assessment of that, but the crowd is enormous.
Yeah, I think today we got Raheem, Jack Maxey. We're joined by Brian Kennedy, our Instagram co-host. Ben, I was told it was like a 10 or 15 mile backup coming into Washington today, just to, at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, just to get there. Do you have any idea of the crowd estimate?
I don't yet. Just based on what I'm seeing, it's tens of thousands already. Again, it's really hard to get an assessment of that if we're in the hundreds of thousands yet until we get some of the aerial shots. But I've heard everybody, everything from hundreds of thousands to over 1 million is what they're anticipating. I was here for the inauguration. That was well over 1 million. And, from what I'm seeing now, it's hard to tell from where I'm at, but everywhere I look is just packed with people. And like you said, it's very difficult to get into DC right now because of the number of people that are still coming in. It's going to be an incredible turnout for sure. And it all comes down to how upset people are at what happened.
Look, I want to ask your sense of the crowd right now, their attitudes about what happened in Georgia last night with us not changing any of the rules or regulations, not going back in the consent decree, and where do they stand right now with Mike Pence and what has to happen today?
Please welcome from the great state of Georgia.
Yeah, a lot of people basically felt like it was a foregone conclusion in Georgia because, like you said, we went with the same signature verification. We went with the same fraud that took place in the general election and is what they expected to have happen. But the focus today is on Vice President Pence. Will he have the courage to do his constitutional duty and reject these ballots and send them back to the states, either reject them in their entirety or give them to President Trump, or at least give pass it on, push it to the Supreme Court? That is the focus. The pressure is both on the Congress and on Vice President Pence to not accept these massive fraud and all of these swing states that we're seeing, at least 6 of them. That is the focus today.
Ben, any way we can get a sweeping shot of that camera? Can we get a sweeping shot just of the crowd? Because I want to tell people on our podcast and throughout the nation, it's about, 37 or 38 degrees. It's cold in Washington today, and it's overcast. It's very dank. This is the type of cold that goes through you. The hardy deplorables are really out there in numbers, and it is not, this is not a spring day.
No, let me show, probably the best shot I can get. We'll have to turn the camera around. Bob, if we can turn it back towards the monument and just get a shot. Hang on, it's going to be a bit of a crazy
that's okay.
Crazy turn here. We're packed. It's some of the most press it's the most press I've seen as well.
Wow.
Grassy area. This area, they're still letting people in, but if you see past that, that's all people going through security.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, that entire mall is just filled with people. You go to the right or to the left, it is packed, and they're all trying to get in here. It's just, obviously with the president planning on speaking later, it's very difficult. Secret Service is checking everybody as they come in. So we're getting a trickle of people into the actual event area, but the masses of people are actually on the outsides filling up the Washington, the mall right now.
You can go ahead and swing the camera back around to the stage. I think we got it. It's amazing. Let's get that camera back position. We'll get beautiful Ben's beautiful visage again. The order of battle, if we can get Ben back up, it'll be great. The order of battle today is that there are going to be some speeches beforehand. You heard the soundtrack of the Trump rallies playing in the background. And the president's speech today, I think it's going to be part rally speech, but I really think he's going to begin to lay out the case that kicks off this historic day on Capitol Hill. And Ben, I think right now it's scheduled that the president will actually address the nation at 11 o'clock. I believe that Don Jr. and Eric and others very close to the president may speak beforehand. You hear the chant already there. What we want our audience to understand, this is a massive turnout. I think it overwhelms everybody. Every anticipation of what was going to happen has really been brought today, and it shows you the outpouring and really this Trump movement and for Republicans, and particularly the Mitch McConnells and Josh Holmes of the world. If you don't think that President Trump has the ability to motivate people and to get people focused on what's important. You're sadly mistaken. I understand Mitch McConnell may be giving a speech today about the Republican Party cutting loose with President Trump. So be it. I want everybody in the live stream, everybody in hashtag War Room Pandemic, the Donald.net, the bad hombres over there having the breakfast of champions, bourbon and nails. Everybody to pitch in here. You guys have brought, listen, we're right on the cusp of victory. Call the play. Very straightforward what has to happen today. That'll all come at 1 o'clock. Ben, we're going to come back to you, but the last thing I want to ask is your sense of this crowd. They're very focused on this massive victory President Trump had. They want Pence, they want the congressmen, they want their senators, they want people on Capitol Hill to hear their voice. That they want to make sure that only legal votes count. They want the rules applied to, and they want the Constitution upheld. Is that your sense of what this crowd wants?
Absolutely, 100%. And really what I anticipate, regardless of what happens today in the next few days, we are seeing an uprising of what you have been pushing for and so many others, a populist nationalist movement, what President Trump has inspired in this country. It's going to be the Tea Party on steroids from this day forward in this country. People are awake. They're going to continue to fight. They're going to go after the enemies within, the Democrats, the leftist, socialist, communist, globalist Democrats, but as well as the weak Republicans who aren't willing to stand up and fight. Today is the day that all launches into America, and it is our generation's fight to save this country. That is the resolve of the people in this crowd, and that should be the resolve of the people across this nation.
Ben, you've been doing a fabulous job from Maricopa County, the deserts of Arizona, all the way now to our nation's capital, through Georgia, through Pennsylvania. You've been everywhere. Last thing I want to tell our audience, in the background, I can hear the voice of an African-American Democrat, Vernon Jones, a state representative in Georgia, and he's laying down. We want to announce right now we're going to have Vernon Jones on the evening show, subject to us being able to get him. But Vernon Jones is going to join us. Ben Bergquam, thank you very much. We're going to come back to you later to get more live updates. Real America's Voice.
Thank you, sir.
One of the best field reporters out there. I don't think I can sum it up better than Ben Bergquam.
Vernon Jones did make an announcement on the stage as well.
He did make an announcement?
He did make an announcement on the stage.
And what was that announcement?
And he's just tweeted it as well. Vernon Jones says, "Moments ago, I announced that I am officially joining the Republican Party. Now more than ever, the Republican Party is in desperate need of leaders that know how to fight. I know how to fight."
We refer to Vernon Jones now as Governor Vernon Jones. The recall petition for Kemp should start immediately today. The debacle in Georgia, Republican Senator Vernon Jones, who just switched his party on the stage, just announced it, a real fighter. I want to put it into perspective. We got a couple minutes here in the first segment. We go live to Georgia. This show is going to be absolutely packed. We're going to set the framework for what you got to watch for today. Absolutely historic. We are on the cusp of victory. It's all before us. You've got all these states now coming up, and I mean hammers like Corman, who was not there for the longest time, but after reviewing the situation, he sent a letter last night from the Senate. He's the president pro tem of the Senate, in basically the head of the Senate in Pennsylvania. He said, "Hey, this thing's got to be. You need to kick it back to the states. We need to get on top of this. This was illegally certified by the Secretary of State. We need to review this. Looks like massive fraud. Looks like they took the Act 77. They changed it. Everything we're talking about, the same." Burt Jones flew up here last night from Georgia. He was saying the exact same thing. In Georgia, you've got a movement. Georgia, the senators in the House down there are saying, "Hey, we need some time. We got to kick it back to us, Mike Pence, and get on top of it." Mark Fincham's here. He's over at the rally. Fincham is telling you, Brian Kennedy. Brian, you lived out in Nevada, in Arizona on this process. They're telling us the same thing, right? We got three states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona, saying we need it back. We need a period of time to do this, and we can decertify the Biden electors.
If the vice president sends it back to Arizona, the Arizona legislature will meet. They will debate this. There was massive amounts of fraud there. I think they will recertify it. They will turn this over the same way Pennsylvania can do it, and the same way any other state where all this occurred. And that's just, it's a very reasonable thing for the vice president to do.
The tabloid, the Financial Times of London, I'm holding up right now. You see this, the blazing headline. Trump leans on Pence to nullify Biden win in bid to retain power. Now, as you know on this show, this is exactly the opposite of what the reality is. Vice President Pence has full power to basically execute and to defend the Constitution and to affirm, just kick it back to the state legislatures and to affirm President Trump's massive victory on November 3rd. So, Jack, Raheem, what do you guys got here? Put it in perspective.
I think also a lot of these state legislators, especially in Pennsylvania, are realizing that they also were defrauded in this because they passed statutes that defined how the election was meant to be run by the legislature. And then you had these Secretary of States and sometimes county officials who just changed the rules of the game, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. So I think these state legislators need to assert their rights in order to defend the rights of the citizens in those states.
100%.
It's far, far more simple than people think.
Yes.
The vice president has the power, he has the leeway, he has the latitude. As in the Constitution, go and read it this morning. It says he opens the envelopes and counts the votes. Doesn't say how, doesn't say must, doesn't say can't comment. And if it were a Democrat in this position, you know damn well they would look at that envelope and go, yeah, you know what, we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Right.
Or in 10 days.
Right.
And that is exactly what the vice president needs to do.
We're going to go through both scenarios of what potentially could happen. Number one, an adjournment and kick it back to a handful of states, or you just go and start debating in both houses and get to the bottom. Either way, very bad day for Joe Biden, because all the exposure of how they stole this is going to come forward. Okay, people are back on Capitol Hill. Short break. John Fredericks, Georgia, next.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Why is the Financial Times of London the most powerful financial paper in the world? Why do they have that headline? You know they have that headline? Because of this audience. You have brought this to the cusp. We are right on the cusp of victory from the morning of November 3rd, 4th, when everybody's depressed. This audience hunkered down, held the line, and after all those weeks, I told you, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. We're right on the cusp of victory. For us not to affirm the victory of President Trump today, we would have to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It's because of this audience. I want everybody in hashtag War Room Pandemic. I want everybody in the live stream, over the Donald.net, everybody else everywhere. This is not a day for fantasy. This is a day for maniacal focus. Focus, focus, focus. We're coming in right over the target, okay? Exactly. This is the point of attack we always wanted, okay? There are two options here. One option is much better than the other, but we got two options. One option leads to an absolute kick it back to the states, and in a few days that will be decertified. It'll get kicked into a contingent election exactly like I laid out in September. Donald Trump's victory will be affirmed in the House of Representatives, okay? The other is to basically break it down and do like 6, 12, 8, 10, 12 hours today. Now, you're going to have Mitch McConnell, who's stabbing you in the back. He's going to give some big speech about how we shouldn't do any of this and how we should shut it all down. That's the former majority leader, Mitch McConnell. We're going to go to Georgia in a second. Before we get John Fredericks, I know John Fredericks is going to come in a little hot, as the people in Georgia are. I want to go. Raheem, the President of the United States, last night at about midnight, he put out a thing, said, New York Times, Maggie Haberman, Annie Carney, sorry, your story is wrong, fake news. Mike Pence did not disagree with me in the room that he does not have the inherent power to do this today, to basically to adjourn, to kick these back to a handful of states that have said we want them kicked back. This is what everybody has to understand. We'll start putting these letters up in the next thing. We're going to have Darren Beatty, one of the heaviest hitters on here, Phil Klein, Steve Cortez, Peter Navarro. We're going to get Bill McGinley. Only hitters today. Okay, only starting lineup. We got Brian Kennedy in studio. We got Fog City Midge down with Bergquam at this massive rally. President's going to speak at 11 o'clock. Remember what we always said, and this was because of your pressure. This is your phone calls. This is your emails. This is burning down the phone lines. This was coloring inside the lines, but with bold colors. You flip these guys. I want to give Kim Ward in Pennsylvania, a hero and a patriot. These patriots have stood up. Fincham, Farnsworth, Corman now with the program. You're seeing it in Wisconsin. You're seeing it in Georgia. You're seeing it, and now people are rallying to this as they see what the reality is, and they see last night's election. You can't go with the model of the Koch brothers and Mitch McConnell. That's just more incompetence and treachery. This is a people's party. You rose up with no money and no power and none of that, and with your own elbow grease, have brought this now down to basically a couple of decisions by a couple of people that understand what their duty is. The only way we lose, and you must embrace this, the only way that we don't affirm this massive victory is if we snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And we will hold everybody accountable. The play's been called, run the play. And by the way, the play, it's a quite simple Green Bay sweep, right? Remember the Packers sweep? We're going to have pulling guard. You have a fullback, a running back. Ball's going to get handed off. You're just going to sweep right, okay? And then you're going to just sweep right. It's them against us. Who can impose their will on the other side? The traditional Vince Lombardi Green Bay sweep. It's quite simple. Play's been called. Mike Pence, run the play. Take the football. Take the handoff from the quarterback. You've got guards in front of you. You've got big, strong people in front of you. Just do your duty. What did Rabbi Sparrow say yesterday? This is the appointed hour for Mike Pence. This is the appointed hour for Mike Pence, and this is the way the system's set up to get back and hardwire into the Constitution. Raheem Kassam.
Just want to go back to yesterday on the tweets for a second. Remember, the vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors. Okay.
Amen.
And don't care what Jay Sekular's saying in his periscopes, and CNN's running it right now. I don't care what Mike Pence's staff or his ancillary staff are briefing to Reuters at 5:55 a.m. this morning or whatever is going on.
It's actually the Koch brothers staff. It's just assigned to Mike Pence.
That is correct. So let's look at what the president's been saying this morning. He says states want to correct their votes, which they now know were based on irregularities and fraud plus corrupt process never received legislative approval. All Mike Pence has to do is send them back to the states and we win. Do it, Mike. This is a time for extreme courage.
Look, Steve, you talk about them exerting their will. That sounds like that's just force. This is not force. This is a moral will.
Yes.
This is reason. This is doing the right thing because it's the right thing.
Yes, and it's laid out in the Constitution.
And this is why Vernon Jones is so important, because Vernon Jones is not representing a party. He's not representing the Democrats or the Republicans. He's representing truth. He's representing honor. He's representing integrity, all virtues that we as Americans have held dear for over 200 years. Let's not lose them.
Is Trump running a little hotter right now, Raheem Kassam?
All caps. The Republican Party, and more importantly, our country, needs the presidency more than ever before. The power of the veto stay strong.
Wasn't the pitch down there they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on was divided government? That was going to swing the college-educated women in the suburbs of Atlanta. Hey, guess what? Mike Pence want divided government. Just affirm the victory of the President of the United States. Let's go to Georgia. Our one and only John Fredericks, who's been down there for 8 weeks. John, you had amazing coverage last night. Where do we stand in these Senate races, and what do the deplorables of Georgia, what are they saying this morning?
Hey, Steve, you want to see woke? Let me show you woke, okay? We're done with this, right? We told them, and we told them, and we told them. I called Reince Priebus. I called Mark Meadows. I called everybody at the White House. I was here for 8 weeks. I told them what our callers were saying. They weren't going to come out unless Perdue and Loeffler fought for the president. They wouldn't do it. They were chasing SUV moms and SUVs or something. Here's what happened, okay? Let's just be frank now, okay? We have to be frank. Time for candor. Karl Rove and his swamp monster consultant class, they built hundreds of millions of dollars out of their donors, took 18%, bought 3 more yachts. They sucked their blood dry while hundreds of millions of dollars were wasted. When all these two candidates had to do was simply say, 6 weeks ago, we will fight for Trump. On January 6th, we will vote no. Georgia, get a General Assembly. I'll sign the petition myself. That's all they had to do. They wouldn't do it. So here's what they did. They went with the consultant class. They went with Mitch McConnell. They went with Senator Thune. The whole bunch of them, they all went down. This was a pathetic, feckless campaign that stood for nothing with 2 candidates that were not courageous enough to stand with the president. Now what's happening now, okay? Now, today, January 6th, right? Biggest day in the history of the country. Where's the Republican National Committee? Oh, let's see. They have a retreat, 180 of them. All the state committee men and women, they can't go to Washington to be part of the protest. No, they're going to a resort in Amelia Island, a 3-day junket, so they can talk about the future of the party. Now, meantime, they get their little drinks with the umbrella sticks in them, and they're sitting at the beach while our country burns down. This is your RNC. You know what they can do with those whistle sticks? They can shove them where the sun don't shine. We're done with this, Steve. We're woke. We're done. This whole thing has collapsed. If anybody is giving any money to these consultants again in D.C. that are standing up there trying to tell you how to win an election, and I was on conference call after conference call. We got this. We're doing modeling. We got numbers. Steve, we told them and told them and told them for 7 weeks what they had to do. Based on the feedback, they wouldn't do it. I came on your show yesterday at 10:30 a.m. I said we were modeling an 85%. We were going to lose. That's exactly what happened.
No, you hit
Let me tell you something.
You hit on the
The deplorables are done with this, right? One man with courage makes a majority. 5 make an army. They got the money, but let me tell you what we have. We got speed and we got people. We got the numbers, Steve. Numbers. We're going to take this whole thing over. We're done.
We also got the brains. Go jump in here.
It goes to what Don Jr. has just said, I believe, at the rally. He said this gathering should send a message to Republicans not trying to change the results or get the... I'm not quoting here. Right. This is from Rob Crilly, by the way, who's reporting this live, says this is not their Republican Party anymore, not the establishment Republican Party anymore. This is Donald Trump's Republican Party.
Amen. A populist nationalist party. But I just want to bring something up to you guys and jump in here. And John, I'll start with you. Politico is saying something quite different. Politico is actually reporting Republicans turn on Trump and blame him for the thing that Eric Erickson and the unnamed consultants. By the way, it's 10 quotes.
Josh Holmes.
Unnamed. Who is Josh Holmes?
Mitch McConnell's bag carrier. Longtime bag carrier.
Former guy that had some stroke in this town. Sorry, Josh. Not sorry. As you guys decamped and get crushed because we're gonna
can I read his tweet?
Yes,
from last night. Josh Holmes' tweet: "Suburbs, my friends, the suburbs. I feel like a one-trick pony here, but here we are again. We went from talking about jobs and the economy to QAnon election conspiracies in 4 short years, and as it turns out, they were listening."
You were talking about jobs and economy. You were talking about jobs in China, right? In the economy of the rising China. Josh Holmes, you're a disaster. Mitch McConnell, former majority leader, you're a disaster. Kicked into the dustbin of history. Good riddance. So, John Fredericks, Politico's saying with all these unnamed sources, this is Trump's fault, Trump's to blame. I want you to think about that. We're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll still go back to Georgia, John Fredericks. We've got Darren Beatty to come. We got Phil Klein to come. We got Steve Cortez to come. We got Peter Navarro. Plus, we're going back and the analysis. The most important day right now in modern political history is upon us, more important in 2016, because today's the day that we can affirm the massive landslide on November 3rd. It's all teed up. We called the play. Now just run the play, the Green Bay sweep. Okay, we're going to return in a moment with more analysis and commentary.
Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room. Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, we've had Don Jr., we got Eric Trump, we have Kimberly, we have Laura Trump. I believe, and if Marco Rubio does not step up today, you still got a couple hours, Marco, although you should have done it days ago, I believe the next senator, the next Republican nominee from the great state of Florida, Ivanka Trump, will introduce her dad. I think she'll be the last one up. Or maybe Rudy might get up there too, but you've seen the family up there, and they're going in their total throwdowns. These are coming in hot as the populist movement. And John Fredericks makes a great point. Instead of being down at some resort, right, having cocktails, got the blue blazers and the Ouijans on with the tassel loafers and everything like that, the future of the party is in that ellipse. This is 37 degrees, folks, and people know coming off the Potomac, you get that breeze going on a dank day like this. It gets, hey, your bones, D.C. can get cold when you have a day like this. And they've been there since 6. My daughter and Maggie had like the VIP to get in there with the film crews. They were down at 6, and they told me, they said, my daughter said, Captain Bannon said, Dad, you can't believe the crowd here. It's enormous. People have been up since 3 in the morning to get here, but they've been down at 6, and that is commitment. Listen, I just want to reemphasize something that's incredibly important, and the power is in your hands. Okay, the power is in your hands. You, this audience, has brought us to this right now. In a couple of hours, we're going to see if certain elected officials that all the time talk about, oh, my Christian values, my Judeo-Christian values, I believe in the Constitution, I believe in all this. It's all going to be out there. There's one path, as Archbishop Vigano says, with the children of light. And there's another path with the children of darkness. Don't ever believe. Just keep pulling the camera back. Think of what Rabbi Sparrow said. Think of what Archbishop Vigano said. Think what's happening in Hong Kong overnight. They rolled up all of the democracy movement in a mass arrest, right? We told you this was coming. They know we're a little diverted. They know war room pandemic's been focused on this and this and this because it's the most important election in 5,000 years in China, and that proves it. Xi's making his move. He's rounding up all those kids we've talked about now for almost 2 years, right? Rolled them up in one, Boris Johnson didn't come to the defense, right, quickly enough. In the West, quite frankly, we didn't do enough, right? And Xi's calling our bluff. He's rolling up all those kids, the sons and daughters of the Lao Beijing that have stood up to tyranny. They're all under arrest now. And I got to tell you, unless we do something, and I hope President Trump starts to hold people accountable here in the second term. His second term, by the way, which will be the beginning of it, be reaffirmed today as this gets kicked back to the state legislatures. Raheem Kassam.
I just want to double down on that point. I tweeted the other day, this is a checkmate time for the Chinese Communist Party. This is when they really dig their claws in here, and they're not just calling the bluff of the United States here. They're not just taking advantage of the distractions that they have caused in large part in the United States via the CCP virus. You look at what they're doing with even the World Health Organization guys who toe their line, they're not going to let them in, right? But here's the thing. They're also calling the rest of the world's bluff. Think about it. The United States isn't there right now to stand up to them, and they know it, and there's no one else in the world to do it.
No one else.
Nobody
Actually,
else.
the Financial Times saying in Germany, they're saying they're massive reaction to Merkel's deal.
There are deplorables who are standing up.
100%.
This is the elites of the EU who are cutting a deal to transfer the debt obligation for the broken system from Germany to the Chinese Communist Party.
This is why, and by the way, the whole global climate change thing, this is why this is a global show. This is a global show because there's populist nationalists out the world. Okay, we got a lot to do. I want to go back to John Fredericks. John, is this anger just the typical anger of guys yelling over their lunchbox? Or are people now, with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which is a liberal paper, but it's a good paper. That reporter that was on Axios said they had gone around the state. They did not have one Republican voter throughout the state they had talked to that did not think the November 3rd election was stolen and didn't think that the election on January 5th was going to be stolen. So where do we stand now today? Is this just anger of people yelling over their lunchbox, or do you see something deeper there?
This movement, Steve, that has been manifested since November 3rd in Georgia, that's what I can speak to because this is where I've been for 8 weeks. This is real. This is bigger. This makes the Tea Party movement look like a little doll show. This thing is bigger than you've ever seen. I must have had 100 callers today. Our phone lines were jammed. At one point, our phone system crashed. I had so many people calling in. They're sick and tired of this. And look, they're going to take action. And the action is we're going to take over the party. That's the first thing you do. And we're going to primary everybody. Recalls are ridiculous. Don't have time or money for that. We're going to recruit candidates. We're going to primary them all. The Georgia General Assembly goes into session on Monday. Hashtag beach balls and others. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to move immediately to rescind the consent decree. They're going to change all the voting laws because they have the vested authority to do that in the Georgia Constitution. They're going to get rid of these machines.
I don't know, but here's what I was saying. I hear you,
but they're going to change it.
Vernon Jones just announced he's a Republican. If you're going to do that after the fact, I don't know why you don't recall Kemp immediately. Hey, let Vernon Jones run against Stacey Abrams.
You can't do it.
Okay, fine. Let's impeach him.
You can't do it because yeah, you can't. You can impeach him, but the recall system in Georgia you can't do. But let me give you today's new example of David Perdue's profile in courage. Ready? Breaking news. After 7 weeks of not being able to say anything about the president, about the steal, about January 6th. Here's a statement he just comes out with 10 minutes ago. Are you ready? Are you hanging on to the edge of your seat? Here's his statement, Senator David Perdue. I'm not going to concede. We will mobilize every available resource and exhaust every legal recourse and avenue to ensure all legally ballots are properly counted. I will do whatever it takes. Thank you. Hey, Senator. Wow, you're a man of great courage.
You know what's so
Took you 7 weeks.
you know what's so
trouble.
This is
now
so
he's
disgusting.
Losing,
yeah, we had
and
some.
now
Go ahead.
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting because we had this conversation with the people running his campaign 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, told them point blank, you're going to come to this date, and this is what's going to happen. And so after the fact, yes, will we fight all that? This is the incompetence coupled with the treachery that you have seen. John, we got to go to Darren Beatty, but I need you to hang on. By the way, for a programming note, when the President of the United States comes up live on stage for this historic opening salvo of one of the most important days in American history, we're going to go live to the president's speech. We will be here to give astute commentary and analysis while that speech goes on. It is going to be, I think we can safely say, a barn burner, right? Both a rally speech and an opening argument, as only Donald J. Trump can give it. What I want to do now, John, if you can hang around, we're going to come back to you. I want to go to Darren Beatty. Darren, over at the Revolver. The Revolver's on fire. And guys, jump in here. The Revolver's on fire, but you particularly on fire. In fact, you're so on fire that even some of our hashtag war and pandemic and a little bit of our live stream go, man, this Beatty guy is going full medieval, right? And so I just want to, and I've already stolen your line of treachery and incompetence. Talk to us about these articles. Talk to us what the point you're trying to get. What are you trying to drive at? Are you just in a destruction mode to destroy, or are you in a creative destruction mode?
I am absolutely in a creative destruction mode. And I think, yesterday was really a reckoning. And I view it as a victory in the sense that you just can't get anywhere if no matter what your alleged party, your alleged representatives do, you simply vote them into victory and they can just get worse and worse and worse. Ultimately, you want to look at the long game and see how can we finally build a machine that's capable of visiting pain and defeat to the left rather than just fake and performative as we've always seen and incompetent. And so I think this is really a victory in the sense that it was a demonstration that the voters actually still have a little bit of leverage. They're not just peasants to be walked on. They do have a limit. There's a line, and if you cross that line, they will visit punishment on those who betray them. I think that's very important, and it's a necessary first step to building anything real, robust, and effective.
When you talk about long game, I just want to jump in and make sure people understand. What happens when they start jamming down to, this is assuming the play doesn't get run today. If the play gets run, Donald Trump's the president. Not even a question about it. So we got to block. You got split government. Don't have to worry. All the college-educated moms driving around those SUVs in Gwinnett County, we got your back. The 9% that voted for Perdue and Loeffler. Yes, we heard you. We have divided government, right? Trump stayed in. In the case that doesn't happen, what happens when people sit there and go, hey, Beatty, hey, Fredericks, hey, Bannon, hey, the rest of them? We got 2 new states. We got 25 new judges on the Supreme Court. You've got socialism in this country. They say this is coming. How do you answer that? Your long game's great, but that was a bridge too far. You didn't take the bridge at Nijmegen, right? So you never got to Arnhem.
Right. No, I don't really buy those arguments. These are the perennial arguments that the establishment uses essentially to extort their peasantry into voting for them no matter what, no matter how bad they are. If you look at the metrics of what actually matters, from free speech to outsourcing to a wide range of things, you really see that the bottleneck to progress is not specifically the left. It's this fake and toxic dynamic between the Republican and Democrat Party that always cashes out as a loss for the American people. And so I think a lot of people are starting to get much more sophisticated in understanding that if you simply root for your quote unquote team, no matter what they do, no matter how incompetent they are, no matter how corrupt they are, you are going to get the same results. And I think we need to adopt a more sophisticated perspective that looks at what the actual bottlenecks are, and that's this system at large, this two-step of the Democrat and Republican Party. And you saw that in the stimulus. You saw that the Washington machine cannot take any necessary piece of legislation without turning it into a feast of lobbyist sharks tearing off what's left on the whale carcass of our country. And until we fix that, we're not going to get anywhere.
Darren, you're absolutely right. And his writings in this have been great. Our side is not morally serious about this. The people who run the Republican Party are not morally serious. We've entered the age of political warfare, where the other side believes in the destruction of the American political order. Our side still thinks it's the 1950s. We have to take it as seriously as they do, the way Darren's describing. This is not about, the long game. In the long run, we'll all be dead. We want to live as free men right now, and that requires people serious right now about a party that defends the freedom of the American people. Today, that is not the Republican Party. That is Donald Trump. It's the MAGA movement. It's the war room.
It's what's in the ellipse right now. You're seeing it right now. Okay, Darren, tell people how to get to you during the day, and you're one of the top. I got you and Kennedy here today because you're two of the top intellectuals we got. Give us your Twitter handle and how you get to Revolvers on Fire.
Go to revolver.news. We have a very provocative, very controversial piece on all of these Republican senators, grandstanding ostensibly to stop the steal. We have a great piece on that. We have a great piece on Walmart and China. Revolver.news. I'm on Twitter, provocative ways at Darren J. Beatty. We need to build a system that can visit pain on the left. We need to start playing for keeps.
Political warfare.
Now.
Amen. Darren Beatty. Political warfare, as Brian Kennedy says. You have economic warfare, you have information warfare, political warfare. We don't need to go kinetic. We need to go kinetic in our political warfare. Okay. Remember, the power resides with you. You have brought us to the cusp of complete and total victory. Just embrace that. Your efforts, your work, your crowdsourcing, your analysis, your grit, your determination. You're holding people accountable. We'll return in a moment with the great Phil Klein from Thomas More.
We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the CCP.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. President Trump is scheduled to speak at 11. We're going to go directly back to the ellipse. This is historic. I haven't had a rally like this there since I think the 19th century, 1880, around the time the unconstitutional Electoral Count Act of 1887 was voted in as a federal statute. The reason is they knew they couldn't get an amendment to the Constitution because it was too difficult at the time. This is the post-Civil War era. Actually, it was still the Civil War was still going on. I mean, this was trying to bring the Civil War to an end in the election of 1876, and they cut these deals, and obviously nobody was happy with the process. Today, you're going to see a reckoning of that. The question is before us, is the Electoral Count Act of 1887 constitutional or not? And the Vice President of the United States is teed up. He has full power. There's not even a question about that, to go in this path of really rejecting these illegal, illegitimate Biden electors that were put forward in a process that the states in Pennsylvania and Georgia have already come forward, and Arizona is about to. They've already said, their state legislatures are saying, hey, the Secretary of States in these states, this was not the way the process should have worked. We got to drill down on this more. We need you to revert it back to us. And we will decertify these things. And as I said from day one, for months and months and months and months, because they're trying to steal it, they're going to be caught trying to steal it. That President Trump's massive victory is going to be affirmed in a contingent election in the House of Representatives. And I still think that is going to take place sometime around high noon on the 20th of January. And I've always said, too, don't think it's the end of the world if Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, is the acting president for a couple of 3 days or a couple of 3 weeks as this thing gets hammered out. And today, the trigger can get pulled to that. We are on, and I want everybody out there, people are getting fired up. We are on the cusp of victory because of you. Don't ever forget that. I want you to go back and think of all the dark days we had and all the days they're mocking you on your, Rudy Giuliani has lost 39 cases in a row. People are talking crazy stuff about gun battles and friends. Crazy stuff's going on, and you guys just grind and grind and grind and grind and layer by layer. Now you flip the legislature in Pennsylvania. You flip the leadership in Georgia. It's all there before you. All there before you. You just have the play's been called. You just got to run the play. I would also say for the sites like Darren Beatty's Revolver, places like the Claremont Institute, places like Raheem Kassam's National Pulse, people that take these donations, etc. Go to these sites and support these sites. Citizens Free Press, Populist Press. You've got Canon 212. You've got the Stream.org. You've got evangelical sites and Pub News, Life Site News. All these sites, just like the Guardian on the left, they all need cash, right? They all need donations. And why you keep contributing to this political elite and these consultants that prove their incompetence and their treachery in Georgia. We told these people weeks ago, it's very simple how you win, and you don't need to raise $500 million to do it. And today, David Perdue to come out with that tweet is really, quite frankly, dude, you were told about this weeks ago, and to know that the Georgia thing is now going to start looking at this consent that it could have been done weeks ago is amazing. Okay, I want to go. Do we have Bill McGinley? We lost Bill McGinley. Let's get go ahead.
If they'd have done a serious recount in Georgia and actually counted all the paper ballots and done a forensic audit of everything that happened, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler would be senators today
with 2 or 3 point wins minimum.
Right.
2 or 3 point wins.
That's how unserious these people are. And if we still did that, if Mike Pence would actually go back and tell us to do that today in Georgia, they could still be senators.
This is basically what Pence is. The responsibility of Pence is basically to do what the Constitution says, put it back to the state legislature.
Right.
They're saying they need more time. Let's go to John. We got John Fredericks. Can we go to him real quickly? John, the president's about to come on stage. We're going to try to get McGinley and these other guys as we can hook up with them. Give us your closing thoughts, at least for this morning, on the morning after when all of a sudden Perdue and these other guys are trying to show a profile and courage.
It's shameful, and it's got to be a wake-up call to the deplorables. They took the deplorables for granted. They listened to the consultants. They didn't listen to us. We said it over and over and over again. And I'm going to get back to one of the early, I was there 3 days, and I was at a rally in Alpharetta, and a voter woman said to me, you know what, here's what we just figured out. We can weaponize our vote, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to send a message. And they sent a message. They simply didn't turn out. They didn't get the Trump voter turnout they needed in order to overcome DeKalb County, Atlanta, Fulton County, all the mail-in ballots. They mailed out 1.5 million. They went into the day with a 200,000 vote lead. They got their voters out. Trump voters did not show up the numbers that they were supposed to show up. And why? They were depressed, and they think their vote doesn't matter. They weaponized their vote, and they sent a message. And look, maybe it was not the right thing to do, but the reality is now they're going to take the party over, starting in Georgia, in Virginia, and you're going to go from there. They're done.
John Fredericks, thank you very much.
Out of the ashes will rise the phoenix.
Love it. Out of the ashes.
Steve, out of the ashes will rise the phoenix.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's go. We got Phil Klein. Phil Klein from the Thomas Amistad Project of the Thomas More Society. Phil, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Do we have
yes,
Phil?
I can hear you, Steve. Thank you.
So, Phil, tell us, you're one of the best legal minds out there. You've been on this from day one, talking about the connective tissue of Zuckerberg and Facebook and all that. What can we got about a minute, and then we're going to hold you over to the next break. In a minute, give us the highlight of what people should focus on today.
Well, it's Congress, and I believe that they kick it right back to the state legislature.
Okay, drop it. We can't. Okay, we're gonna have to reconnect. We're gonna have to reconnect with Phil Klein. Raheem Kassam.
Well, I will take you up on your offer. Since I've never done it on the show before, I agree. Obviously, I would agree that people. We've heard it in the live chat already, saying, "Hey, I'm not giving any money to the RNC anymore. I'm not giving these checks over." So as I say, with Revolver you can, with Citizen Free Press you can, all these sites. And for the National Pulse, the link is just simply thenationalpulse.com/support. And I'm very grateful for it. You know, our servers are crashing all the time when we do these things because we're just growing and growing and growing because we're doing the real news, right? And Revolver and Citizen Free Press and all these guys, this is the signal for the noise. And you look at what's going on out there right now, you are going to have one hell of a fight. The Mitch McConnells, the Josh Holmes, these guys are already throwing this in your face, saying it's your fault. It's the base's fault. It's the America First movement's fault. It's the MAGA movement's fault that all of this stuff is going on and taking place. It's not, but they are not going to hand you over the keys to the party, right?
The bottom line is not going to vote for any more of their candidates. I mean, this is, and to have incompetence like you saw down in this, the amount of money raised. I think the Republicans had $400 million. They're talking about $800 million was spent down there just since then. Just absolutely revolting. This could have been won so easily, as we said. Okay, short commercial break. We're going to return, and I believe we're going to return with the President of the United States' speech from the ellipse.